I'm Peter Whitehead, MDAF Director of Communications. I'm joined today by Raphael Khumalo from NewsDay in Zimbabwe. Raphael, can you tell us a little bit about NewsDay, your newspaper?
Well, Peter, we don't just have NewsDay. We have 3 newspapers in Zimbabwe. We have 2 weeklies, the oldest of which is the Zimbabwe Independent, which comes out on Fridays. We then have the Standard, which comes out on Sundays. And we have the new baby, which is NewsDay, which started in 2010. There's a lot to say about NewsDay. Essentially, we launched NewsDay in order to give people a different voice. Since the closure of the daily news probably in 2002, they only had to read daily newspapers that were supplied by the state-controlled press. So all the people had to read was the Herald and the Chronicle, which are controlled by the ZANU-PF ruling at that. What NewsDay did, or what NewsDay is doing, is to be able to give them a different point of view and to be able to refute the lies quite often that are said on state-controlled print media.
You find yourselves doing that quite regularly in conflict of...
We find that having to do it quite regularly, and we therefore are a thorn in the flesh, not just of the political class, but also of the editors in these state-controlled newspapers, because they issue a lie today, tomorrow we are able to say this is where the truth was. In the past, we had to wait, people had to wait a week to know where the truth where the truth was, but now we're able to refute those claims within a very short period of time. And we also have online editions. So those who are able to go online, NewsDay is there 24/7.
Yes. And do you find, has there been much demand from the public, and demand also on the business side, because obviously you're a business and you don't just produce content?
There has been a lot of demand. Unfortunately, the economy is not doing well because the political situation in Zimbabwe is still unresolved. We had elections, but soon after those elections, as you know, we then had the government of national unity. And since then, this was in 2010, every year the president has announced, from 2010, that elections will be held in such a month, election will be held in such a month. And all that does is to increase the level of uncertainty. And as you know, capital is a coward, and it doesn't stay where there is uncertainty. Consequently, the closure of jobs, closure of factories, and even huge supermarkets have had to close down because of the buying power is just not there. Because people need jobs, people need employment and that. So I think this is where we have a problem. Just to give your viewers a bit of insight. A few weeks ago, our Minister of Finance announced a national budget of 3.8 billion, I think it was. And the Zimbabwe Independent carried an article to the fact that the budget was less than the annual turnover of one of the leading supermarkets that has opened in the country from South Africa. How can you operate as a country in that sort of environment? So yes, we are getting advertising. Otherwise, we wouldn't be surprised without it. We wouldn't be surviving without the advertising. Yes, we have the readers, but unfortunately, these are not in the volumes where they should be.
And so, do you see the economic position changing as the political system changes, possibly over the next few years? So, do you see your newspapers playing a role in that?
Our newspapers are playing a huge role. If every day you have to refute a lie, if every day you have to tell the people where the truth is, if every day you are basically driving an agenda which says, change is good. And at the same time, you are having to run those articles very unpalatable, which says, you know, the MDC is no longer living up to people's expectations. And you are constantly having to do that. And then we find that we've not only just become enemies of ZANU-PF, but there are certain elements within MDC who have become very uncomfortable.
So that's
with
both
us.
the ruling party and the opposition.
And what is the opposition? They have become very uncomfortable with us. And because we have stayed the course, we are constantly telling them that this is what the people's expectation is, and that they have to live up to those expectations. And sadly, what you find is material gains. You know, now you find even the people out there who voted them into those positions are beginning to question that. And unfortunately, that is sad. But I guess it will be good for Zimbabwe in the long run.
Raphael, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Peter.